Were you trying to get crazy with this, eh? Don't you know I'm loco?
No. I know this part. Yeah. We need more. Yeah.
All right, welcome to the VR News Roundup for this week. So let's get straight into it. Some may have heard about this, but for those who haven't, the main story, I guess the main story. So Valve, just after the Steam machine, right on the heels of having to charge a lot more for the Steam machine than I believe they wanted to, it looks like the Steam frame is going to get hit as well. So the manufacturer of their processors, Qualcomm, has evidently announced starting September 1st a double-digit price increase for the processors. Valve's eagerly awaited Steam Frame VR headset is now facing a new roadblock ahead of its 2026 launch, which comes after the Steam machine launched at a price point even Valve wasn't happy with. I don't think, obviously nobody was happy with that. And frankly, it would have been really nice to have a lot of Steam machines out there because it would have pushed a Linux-based operating system into the hands of a lot wider audience of consumers, which I think would be good for everybody in and out of computing. So, according to a report from Bloomberg, the price hike will take effect September 1st, 2026, as I previously mentioned, a double-digit price increase. And this is for the processors, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. And that's the processor the Steam Frame is using. And obviously that's a pretty important component. So additionally, they talk about the specs of the Steam Frame. 16 gigs of DDR5 RAM. There's just storage options, which, everything is being affected by AI price increases. Storage, memory, processors, GPUs, everything. Probably pretty soon electricity. It's already probably happening in many places that are surrounded by data centers.
Is there enough power right now just in the existing grid?
The short answer is no.
So yeah, this is not great. This is not great news. It's a shame. It's just more of the same with AI superseding consumer interests in the industry. I don't know how big this bubble's gonna get compared to like the .com bubble. I think it's gonna be massive. The problem now is that it's not just a lot of private entities and consumers, index funds, and private sector stuff involved. There's governments leveraging billions of dollars into AI. So it's a very scary prospect. So just as an addendum to the Steam Frame, this is some news from the developers of Blade and Sorcery. Probably the best.
He's the best.
The best game to actually feel like you're in the world in VR. I feel like it's still to this day, even though it came out so many years ago, holds up better than just about any other game that I played on VR, to be honest with you. And it's so moddable as well. There's even a Star Wars token conversion. But just as a little addendum to the Steam Frame price hike, a lot of people have been hyped that out of the box, the Steam Frame should be able to run a significant portion of the Steam library because it's on SteamOS. SteamOS is very, very good at hardware utilization, unlike Windows, which I'm currently using.
You failed!
So, in any case, he has said Blade and Sorcery has been around for a long time now. The PCVR version is unfortunately a bit heavy to run standalone on the frame, and you'll see it as unsupported, so people don't get confused or disappointed. It's better for us to be transparent about its performance. Even turning the graphics down and lowering the settings, it's still a wee bit too heavy to run via Proton/FEX. So just meaning you're not going to be able to run the full PCR version of Blade and Sorcery standalone on the Steam Frame, which I'm personally not super surprised at, but do expect there will probably be a Nomad port for the Steam Frame. And it might even be able to pack up a little bit more than the Quest port, because the Quest has half the memory and not as good of a processor as the Steam Frame. All right, so the next story, this is the Kino one. So this is about Meta talking about, it's two things. Their super sensing technology with their glasses, which is, it's Kino, but also dystopian, and the privacy light feature. So the first thing, they talk about the always-on AI feature they call super sensing. So, the Financial Times report describes how it would work on a technical level. The system would capture an image from the camera every few seconds and constantly capture audio. An AI model would continually analyze the images and audio to upload its analysis as text to Meta servers. So from what they say here, the processing of all this data happens on device. It's important to note for later. On a recent Meta earnings call, the Big Zuck told investigators that he wants Meta AI on smart glasses to evolve from being able to answer questions to being able to be a personal agent, your own Jeeves, that's with you all day long, helping you remember things and achieve your goals. According to the Information's report from last year, the super sensing feature could, for example, remind you to pick up your keys if you forgot, or to stop in at a store to pick up ingredients for dinner as you walk past it. This is the funny part. The report also noted Meta was exploring a facial recognition capability which could, for example, remind you of somebody's name.
And this is... What? This is my old mate from... my workmate. We know each other really well. My workmate.
I don't know how I feel about that, because there have been times where I've run into somebody and I couldn't for the life of me remember their name, but I remember their face. I even, hung out with some of these people and liked them. And I remember memories we formed together, but I just can't get their name. However, I think it's a little bit dystopian to have your glasses reminding you of somebody's name. At Meta Connect 2025, Chief Scientist of the company's Reality Labs division, XR veteran Michael Abrash. What a name, dude, Abrash. It's a very, very masculine name. Openly described the company's eventual goal of shipping glasses with always-on contextual AI that can even continuously create a dynamic 3D map of your physical environment and your movements and actions within it, including the objects you interact with.
It's done. We know where you are. We have we have everything.
Oh my God.
We're in your Facebook.
The glasses will store, so this is what I was saying earlier. The glasses will store a log of these actions and interactions and use it to provide contextual AI. So this is going to be important for what comes next. Now remember, up here, it said that it was only going to be uploaded to Meta server as text, whatever data, images, and audio the glasses would provide. Now, what he's saying here is it's going to expand on that, and it's going to map everything. Again, right now, this is all stored on the device. So, for example, you could ask your AI assistant, how many calories have I consumed today? I feel quite poorly. And without needing to have logged anything in advance, so not having to type anything or anything like that, the AI will be able to answer as long as you're wearing the glasses at the time. All right, that's neat, but is it necessary? I don't know. All right, now on to the more important aspect for most people, I think. The more pressing issue, according to both reports, is how the privacy issue of super sensing would be handled, and how the general public, including bystanders, might react. Probably quite poorly. One point of internal debate, reportedly, is whether having the feature enabled should continuously flash the privacy LED or just have it on all the time. They do not plan on having the light going for the always on image capture and audio capture. Now, they say the current plan is to not activate the LED for the camera while super sensing is on. So the images and audio captured during this mode would not be available to the user and not even stored after processing, which this is at odds with Senor Abrash's keeping a record of the objects you interact with, and literally keeping a record of everything you're doing. I don't know how you could do that for this contextual AI if none of this information is outright stored on the device or on meta servers. It has to be one or the other. So they say that this would not be stored after processing. So as of now, with the super sensing, it's going to capture these images every few seconds, and it's going to continuously capture audio and then convert that into a text, which then go to meta servers. I don't know how often these texts are going to be generated and processed and sent to the meta servers, because if the audio is continuous, I guess every time a set of images is taken, that audio accompanying that set of images will get sent. It's probably something like that. An AI would see every moment of your life as you're wearing these glasses, but in theory, no human would. However, as the report makes clear, final decision has not been made and an internal debate is still ongoing on how to handle privacy. In a statement to the Financial Times, Meta said it declines to comment on internal prototypes, but claimed that it focuses on privacy built from the ground up. They're not very well known for that, considering how much data they've sold and scraped, and pointed to how its Project Aria Gen 2 research glasses uses privacy protective technologies to help people without capturing photos and videos the way traditional cameras work. I don't know too much about this. I may dig into this. I don't know. On to the next story. This one's quite exciting. Breath of the Wild VR mod nears full release. Now, this was copyright claimed by Nintendo. I'll find a video to put in here as some B-roll while I talk about this. But the mod creator, Krementif, said that the Legend of Zelda now has full motion support controls to the game for PCVR, which is super keto. He doesn't say when the launch is, so it says nearing the mod's 1.0 launch. We don't know how near we are, and he literally says that, Mr. Hayden, later on in the article, but thank you for writing this regardless. But there's also going to be a Mario Kart 8 VR mod, apparently. That will be pretty keynote. So I haven't used the Better VR mod, but after seeing this article, I'm definitely going to give it a try out. So Krementif said, as for the Breath of the Wild VR, there are still more updates yet to come, and that 1.0 is still very much happening. I hope. I'm surprised Nintendo hasn't destroyed him. The modder notes that a few things are already on the horizon, some of which patrons can test early pretty soon. This includes the long-awaited multiplayer support, which is ported to the new CMU version, but still needs syncing, a substantial performance update, reworking the all-stereo rendering, and more. What's more, the trailer showed off Better VR may soon become somewhat of a VR mod suite in the vein of Preydog's own UE VR mod for PC, which I desperately need to try out with a variety of things. As Better VR is aiming to support Mario Kart 8 too, which Krementif has noted has the goal of making this a really cool race kart game adaptation for VR with the same level of quality as my Breath of the Wild mod. So as he says, there's no indication of when the Better VR mod for Breath of the Wild will hit the big 1.0, but he says it's quite polished, so we may have to check that out. All right, YouTube, that's it for this week's VR News Roundup. And as always, I leave you with the same message. Be well. Blessings to all, stay safe, and have a great evening, morning, or whatever it is, wherever you may be. Adios, YouTube.